Today's episode is a roundtable episode. I'm bringing on three women with very different stories about what made them say yes to Best Damn Coach Live and how being with me in the room for 2 days drastically transformed their business in 2025. I can't wait for you to hear their stories and stick around because there is a true zinger at the end that I think we can all relate to. Welcome to a super special episode of the Best Damn Coach podcast. It's a roundtable experience. I have three brilliant clients that have been in my world over the last year plus, and I've invited them to come together today to talk about something super exciting that's coming up, which is Best Damn Coach Live. And I invited each of you for a different reason because I felt like you each have your own story about what encouraged you to say yes to coming last year to the event, and then you're coming back, like what brings you back, and you each do such different things. And so I felt like it would be a really, like mini, pre-party, if you will, to Best Damn Coach Live. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves and what they do. So we'll go in this order, girls. We'll go Lauren, Sharleen, and then Kindyl. So just introduce yourselves and tell us what you do.
All right, I am Lauren, and I am a mind-body fertility coach, and I help women transform fear, worry, and doubt into embodied belief, confidence, and trust that they can get and stay pregnant within the next 12 months.
Love it. Well done on that statement. Well done.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
Sharleen.
I'm Sharleen Lucas, and I'm an RN, and I'm starting to consider myself more of a wellness consultant to help people build really real, lasting, trustworthy, optimal health without spending all the money on the endless dead ends of supplements and trends and devices, and helping people sift through all that and really build wellness. So that's what I do.
So good. Love it. Kindyl.
Yes, my name's Kindyl Keaton, and I work with high-achieving, ambitious people really just to get them to stop dreaming and start doing is the simplest way I could say it.
So good. It's so cool. Just like we haven't even gotten into the whole episode yet, but it's like when I hear you guys speak from where I feel like I met you to where you are now, like just the level of confidence you exude, the level of clarity, the level of simplicity. If you don't feel that way on the inside, it's not evident on the outside whatsoever. So I love watching you guys and just hearing you. As listeners, as you know, last year was the first ever Best Damn Coach Live, and I was inspired to create a place where my existing clients could come together and meet each other in real life. I was definitely craving that. And then where new coaches could also come and meet the awesome people I already work with, and also take real time away from implementation. And one of the reasons I was so passionate about doing that is I'd been to a lot of events, and what I found for me personally, you guys don't have to think this is true. You guys can challenge me on your own beliefs around it, but I've been to some that felt like super fluffy, like the energy was fun, don't get me wrong, but there was maybe 15 different speakers. The messaging wasn't thematic, so I felt like I was learning a lot of different things. I felt inspired in the moment, but then I was like, shoot, what am I going to do now with all of that information? And so the goal was to create a space that was exclusively for female coaches, right? Because we need different things than other types of providers, and hopefully slow that content down, which I'm doing even more this year, and give real-time feedback. And so these ladies all were in attendance of that event. And I would love for you to each go back because you have totally different stories. I'm going to start with you, Kindyl, this time. Kindyl and I met on the phone about, 10 days or something before BDC Live was taking place. And I just felt her energy. And she was such an action taker. And she had a strong desire to leave the career she was in. And I was just like, you got to come to this event. And I kind of didn't think that you were going to do it, to be honest. I knew, like, you have kids, it's hard to manage. But I would love for you to share a little bit about, like, that moment where you knew the event was happening. Like, what made it a yes for you to like drive yourself across the country? Because you are not, nobody here on this call is from Arizona, by the way. But can you take us back and tell us a little bit about like what that was for you?
Yeah, it's funny. I try to go back and look at the timeline of it. And even though it felt fast then, I'm even shocked now to look back and see that really actually was really quick because I found your podcast. Let's just call that day one of me looking. I was looking for a framework for what I would like teach my client. Like I was working with clients, but I was like, it has to be more cohesive. I search framework. I find Best Damn Coach. I find Amanda. I listen to a podcast. I'm pretty sure I went to your site that night and scheduled a call or sent an email and was like, hey, can I just talk like to someone? Can I talk to you? I didn't even think I'd get you on the phone. Like I thought it'd be like some random person. And they're like, yeah. So I think I talked to you the next day, asked about framework, the FBL, and then went from, okay, I'm going to like do this. I think the FBL was the Framework Builders Live was like 400 or something. And I was like, if I'm going to do that, like, let's just do the year-long thing. Like, what is this? So I found you on day one. Pretty sure I bought into it on day 3, into the whole Best Damn Coach. And you were like, hey, this event in April, which was, I think, less than 2 weeks. I want to say it was like 12 days away. And it's in Arizona, which is like a 16-hour drive or something. And I think that we recognize these opportunities that feel huge and scary. But I think those are like, for me, making that decision to go, even though I had to give up some stuff with the kids and not go to, some ball games and say no to some things they thought I was going to be at. It was kind of a turning point for me. I would not be where I am at today had I not decided, okay, just drive, just go do the thing, go to this event. And I remember thinking, I'm not ready for this. There's going to be a whole bunch of people in this room doing this thing that I want to do, but I'm not doing yet. I felt like, am I going to be out of place? Am I going to walk in here and people are going to be like, why is she even here? She's not like, I don't even know that I had a paid client at that point. I think I may have been working with some free clients. If I had a paid client, it may have been like 1. I think I was working with like 5 beta free clients. But I think it's being in a room with people who are doing what you want to do is way more important than being in a room with people who are doing what you're doing. And that was, I think, the big step. Like it's what made the decision to just go ahead and go. Oh, good.
That's really good. I kind of got chills when you said that, actually, like full body chills, because I think there is so much objection for people internally. And I feel like that decision for you solidified the identity shift, which you girls know, like being with Kindyl, it's so par for the course considering what she does. That's what I love about you is I just feel like you doing that models for your clients exactly what you teach, right? Is if you want the thing that you're talking about, it's being around it, it's immersing yourself in the energy. I got the opportunity to also have Kindyl at my retreat in the fall too. Something stuck with me. I hope you don't mind that I share this at all. We were driving to dinner one night and I just bought my new car, which is a dream car for me. And she was just like, I need to be in your car because it needs to be closer to me. Like everything that I want is like, I need to keep bringing it closer to me. And I was like, sit in the passenger seat up front with me. Like, enjoy, turn everything on, you know what I mean? And I just like, I really, really appreciate that about you and such like courage and self-trust. So I love that story so much. And then I think about where you are a year now, like, yes, like you left your job, like an all in, you launched your podcast, the Manifesting Mama. Did I say it right? I think I did. And I just think about so many things that you continue to do that are like, in some ways, I think probably were birthed in that room, for lack of a better analogy. So kudos to you. Thank you. Did you want to add anything? I know we're on a slight delay, but go for it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I had some thoughts just because like you were talking about because I had just bought like my dream car, like it was on my vision board, my Land Rover Discovery. And then I pull up and you have the same color, the same trim in the Defender, which is like the next one. And so I think what I really appreciated and just kind of sense and intuitively knew is that you understand like the energy and the alignment, even though it's not specifically what you teach, you understand that embodiment, that identity piece. And even just in 1, 2, 3 days, like a 30-minute conversation, that was very apparent, that that you get not just the systems and the strategies and the business, but that there is that embodiment, that identity, that internal piece that so many other coaches won't dip into. And you're an example of that. So I don't know, I just wanted to touch on that was a huge thing, that you understood that and latched onto that and encouraged that, meant a lot.
Yes, I love that for you. Okay, let's go, Sharleen. Tell us about why you said yes last year to the event, because you are also not in Arizona. You're a little bit, a few states north, I guess. But tell us about like where you were, what you were coming for, or why you said yes.
Well, I'm going to have to circle back to the car example, but first, really, the investment rate was like, yeah, I need to go do this because I knew the value of it based on, well, maybe using the car example, I needed to be in and around the people and you who were doing the stuff that I wanted to do. I just know, I'm sure it's a spiritual thing, it's a mental thing, it's a learning thing. It's all a big package of just being with the people that are doing what I want to do. It's been multiple times in my life where I need to be around that, and so I just knew I just need to be around it, and that meant the community, and that meant the energy that was developing at the retreat, and so yes, being in the car, it was a way for me to jump in your car. And I hope that people I know they sense this about you, but when I first heard you, I heard you once in a podcast and I was like following her because of kind of the same thing that Kindyl said. You presented in a way that 100% aligns with what I believe, and it's personalization with people, it's relationship, it's vision, it's flow, it's energy, it's all this stuff, and then super practical business. And so I just knew that I'd get that if I came, and so it was not a difficult situation. So
I love that.
or a difficult decision. Yeah.
You're making me blush. I feel humbled, and I'm so grateful for those words for sure. And I also like to go back. I do love that you said something because the investment's kind of a no-brainer. It's a couple $100 for 2 days of like tons of value and connection, and food is included. Like I really wanted that. I wanted that experience to be a no-brainer because the investment level, because I also knew that a lot of people were going to be coming a long way. I was like, basically, guys, this isn't a moneymaker in the business. This is just enough to like put people in real time together and pay for the cost of the event, because I just want to nurture our people and meet new people. And I live by that. And it's true this year, right? We didn't even raise the cost really. And it's the same idea, 2 days of complete value. And I was inspired by a mentor who did the same thing, and I left his event going like, this is freaking awesome. And the other piece of it too, and then Lauren, you're on, but is like, I just remember this being so pivotal for me. Was I went to his event and he like walked and had lunch with us and like sat down with us and was a part of us. And that was the first time in my coaching career when I've invested that I felt like somebody was one of me and he was just further along, because a lot of other events felt like very pedestal-y, like it's them and it's me. And I definitely am like, let's just hang out and let's like brainstorm together. And so I feel like that's why we added to the event, and the Monday night hangout is cool because we're not really, I mean, we are talking about business, but it's just very chill. And so it's important for me to have that experience. So thank you for sharing.
And that's what.
Okay, Lauren. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, thank you. Lauren, you're coming from another country, and I know you had some resistance, but I feel like you had a big breakthrough last year when you came. So maybe like just take us back to like what brought you to yes, what you resisted, and why you ultimately did the thing.
Yeah. So I live in Montreal. I'm in Canada. And I remember when I had looked at the event, and well, I had said to myself, oh, of course it would be nice. Of course it would be nice to, leave my family. I have a 9 and 11-year-old, to fly to Arizona by myself and, participate in this event. My brain only wanted to offer me all of the reasons why I couldn't. And I'd say, leaving my husband alone with the kids for several days was one of them. The just cost of travel was another one. Also, when we're in Canada and we're dealing with everything in US dollars, I would also say that that was another objection in my brain. But what happened was that I find always when you get out of your day-to-day environment and you're somewhere else, you can start to open up to new possibilities. And so we were actually in Florida as a family trip for spring break, and it was maybe just the month before BDC Live. Um, and I was up, like everyone was in bed. I was like outside the palm trees, right? It's really cold where I live. So that's why I'm like setting the stage for the story. And I'm like on my phone and I just gave myself permission in that moment to dream. And I was like, I wonder what a flight costs to Arizona from Montreal. And like it was so much more affordable than I had made it out to be in my head. Like in my mind, it was going to be like thousands of dollars. And I was just like, in reality, a couple $100s. And then I was like, oh, interesting. And that was like the one little window of possibility. And then I was like, well, I wonder how much an Airbnb costs. And then I looked at that. And so I kind of pitched it to myself in my own brain. And then when this is super funny part of the story. So we're flying home from Orlando back to Montreal. And I knew that I was going to have to overcome my husband's objection of me going. And so I was like, but I'm going to have him trapped on a plane. Right? So we're on a plane flying home, and I choose that time to pitch it to him to be like, okay, look, like you totally can say no, but these are all the reasons. This is so important to me. These are all the reasons why I'm like, this is really, really what I want to do. And he was quiet. And then before we got off that flight, he like turned to me and he's like, I want you to go. So like literally, I'd say the next day after getting home from that trip, I like booked it. And then I was all in.
It's so good. I want to talk about resistance. We talked a little bit about resistance. I'm going to come back to that like statement around resistance to coming back and how like the money scarcity sometimes sets in a little bit. Kindyl, you had your hand up though. Did you want to throw something else in? We'll see if Kindle's on a little time delay.
Yeah, I was just going to like second what you were saying. You were like, because I remember when you brought that up, you were like, I'm willing to like, it's not a moneymaker. Like I'm willing to. And I remembered a conversation that we had at the retreat in September, October. We all went to dinner and you bought dinner for everyone. It was amazing. And you had mentioned, you were like, I'm willing to break even on some things to make sure that I'm serving my clients. And I really started thinking about it because I had been thinking about that on the retreat, like how much we paid for this, but how much you gave. Like how much was there? It was like, there's no way that you're raking in money off this retreat. I mean, the things that you provided, I mean, just with the yoga outside and the water stuff, and it's just very clear that it's service. It's making sure. I just wanted to second that because I remember you saying that you're willing to break even, and I was like, I guarantee you these live events and your retreats are not money makers. These aren't things that you do because you want to rake in the cash. It's things because your business succeeds when your clients succeed. And so even if you're not making a ton of money on the things that you're giving them, if they make money, it all funnels back. That's the whole energy thing that you understand. So I just wanted to second that I remember that comment that you had made. And it just meant a lot that you give and you give and you give. And it's so helpful.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you offering that and seeing that. And I'm glad that's felt for y'all. And that's the goal, right? And that's a goal for you, is to hopefully be on the receiving end of that and then figure out how that looks for your business and be able to make that application for you as well. I want to go back to the event itself. Could you each maybe pick something that happened either in the room or just in that experience for you that you really took away and were like, okay, that changed me, or that changed the trajectory? Like, you guys, I still think back to that moment. And you remember McKenna, my daughter, was in the room with us that whole time. And do you guys remember that she ended up like coming up with building this bouquet making business? And I don't want to share her numbers, but let's just say she's made 5 figures since that day as a 16-year-old in business. And so I know that like even in absorption, right? There's just energy shifts that happen. But I'm curious if you guys have something, just put your hand up. What was something that you look back on that event and you're like, wow, that changed for me? Whoever can go first.
I can go first.
Okay.
And I can go first. Let's start there. So I still get a little sheepish because you guys may remember, I'm sure you do, Amanda, that my one of my aha moments was, I don't know if we were talking about if we were to go home and just do something, as you often talk about, as if we were already there, or if as if we were already where we wanted to be. And I remember thinking, it just came to my mind, well, I'm going to slay dragons. And I was like, where did that come from? I'm not a dragon girl. I mean, I think dragons are cool, and I do like fantasy story. I like Tolkien, but I'm not really into dragons. And so, so it was just funny that it came to me. And what I think is important is it was an energy shift, but there was no way I was ready to slay dragons, if I can say so. Like, to me, that means I'm more public about, some not hard, but clear stances on what I do, and some of the lies in the industry of wellness and health, and some of the wrongs we've done, and what's really true. And I was not ready to slay dragons in that way in my mind. But it was still an energy shift, and it still resonated with me, and it sticks with me. If I went back to my notes, I would remember all sorts of stuff from the weekend. It's hard for me to remember detailed things I learned besides that moment. So, and so that's what I took away, and that's kind of what solidified. But I guess I want to make my point is that there may be things that change in us, and we think we might be ready, or it doesn't really make sense, and you just move forward, right? You don't really try to make it happen. You just let it be and let it unfold, and sit with it. And so that's what I had to do with slaying dragons.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I think what we can sum that up is like you're being called to elevate. That's the takeaway that I feel like everybody ultimately has. Whether it's a fine piece of strategy or it's something bigger, it's like for me, that when I hear you say that, it's like, okay, Sharleen, stop playing small. Like it's time for you to stand out as an authority in the space that you serve. And that's scary when all of a sudden we're going to start to say things that maybe really draw a line in the sand for people, but that's the goal ultimately, is it to be so clear on what I get by working with you that you are the exact person I need. And I think it's so much bigger than that's a big thing that you shared for me.
Well, and just real quick too, to your point, it didn't necessarily just mean what I thought it meant either, right? You begin to see that, like, oh man, this really applies here, and how I do my business, and what I'm targeting, and how I'm doing things. And so things just become bigger when they first hit you. You let them marinate, they just begin to develop more.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you for sharing. We'll go Kindyl and then Lauren.
First, like I second the dragon thing. Wasn't what I was gonna say, but slaying the dragons, like even as someone who's like, I feel like I say the thing most of the time, and I'm kind of risky. It's still kind of scary to go out there and talk about those things that you're angry about. The whole things that get under your skin. So I still work on that, and that definitely is something that has stuck, and I have tried to. I am trying to incorporate more. But what kind of came to mind was that I had said that the one thing that almost kind of kept me from talking about the resistance from going, is that everyone was, so to speak, going to have their shit together, and I wasn't going to know anything. And then going there, and, we talk about those speaker statements, and we talk about, what do you help people with, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, but what if I don't know that? And as I'm looking around, here are all these coaches who are making money as a coach. They have clients, they have full rosters, and they're saying, I'm not really sure how to word what I help people with. And I'm thinking, I don't have to have it all together. I can just, that was a huge thing to see everybody else in the room who's doing the thing that I want to do also still be unsure about things. Because I think we can think, is this for me? Is it going to help me? Is it for this kind of coach? Is it for that? Is it really going to be something I'm going to get anything out of? Or am I ready for that? And to that point, I guess I just want to say, because this is the other thing that I think I've noticed just through, not just because the BDC Live, which by the way, I had no idea that was your first event that you did. And that was the first live event. And that was the first BDC Live, because it was so well done and so cohesive. I felt like I got like a crash course those 2 days. Like it was this it felt like school in 2 days and like a fun kind of school, and I absolutely loved it. But what I've noticed, I feel like, is you have such a wide breadth of knowledge. Like I've seen you answer questions in BDC calls from coaches in from a spiritual world to a health world to a corporate world. And your knowledge just expands so much. Even now, as and I will, because you mentioned the podcast earlier, even now as I feel like I'm going into a transition from like the podcast, I literally just like I know after 4 to 5 weeks I rebranded. It's called Become a Badass, Unlock Your Full Potential. And I'm transferring now in from more of a coaching space into a speaker space. And still, every single thing that we learn at the live, every single thing we learn at the Best Damn Coach is still applicable to so many things that I want. It's just, it's for more people than what people think. And you are readier than you think you are, I guess is my point.
Yes, so good. I'm gonna like also just validate that. Just on a personal level, my husband's doing some consulting work for a company that's in the, you know, hundreds of millions. And we just talked about how cool it is to be on the inside and still like they're just figuring things out. So it's like companies producing at that level versus our level. And like everybody's just figuring it out as they go. It's just that some people have had more years to put it together and pull the pieces in and sew it up a little bit more fine. But at the end, we're all working with like layers of thread that are open and frayed, and we're just trying to figure out how to braid them together. So it's so good. Thank you. Lauren, how about you?
So I've had all of that time to come up with my answer, and that's usually a good thing and a bad thing because I had so many different ways I want to, or there's so many different micro moments from that event that I'm recalling. Maybe tell me the question again, just so I can choose one that's really answering the question. So
I would say just the most like breakthrough moment for you, or the thing that you left with that was the most transformative in the experience.
Yeah. So the moment that's coming to mind right now, I'm also thinking of like when I danced, when we got up and danced at one point.
And I loved it. I love that we have that on video too.
Yeah, absolutely. To Whitney Houston, was that's our
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. But actually, I'm thinking of day 2 where I found myself sitting next to, I don't remember her name right now, but I did end up reading her book afterwards. She was an author. She's a podcaster. She was in your mastermind. And so I ended up sitting next to her. And what I would say is I felt like, so we do this comparison game where we measure ourselves up to the other people in the room. And while like I was, Kindyl was talking about how she like saw other people as being, oh, those are the people that have clients. And, so I'm one of those coaches. I'm one of those coaches who came to the event. I have clients, and yet we're always working on, like stepping into another level. And I would say that moment for me and the whole event really was just like me stepping into my next level. When I sat next to that other woman and she talked to me about her podcast, and I told her about what I was doing, and she reflected back to me like, wow, that sounds amazing. It just kind of gave me this a little bit more confidence of like, oh, like she's here. And she runs a podcast and she's written a book. And that means that it gave me permission to basically to honor my desire of like, those are things that I also want. And those are not only are they things that I want, those are things that I actually can do. And so when I was on the plane coming home, I love plane rides especially like when my kids aren't around and I'm on my own. I've been talking too often. But I just find even when I used to travel in my early 20s, like plane rides for me is just this time where I can really be connected to like my higher self, my inner knowing, and things can just come through. They're like inspired moments. And I remember writing an email to my mailing list on the plane ride home. And that was my declaration. Like I love to declare things. Like when I decide for myself that this is something that I'm doing, I love to declare it like out loud to my mailing list on Instagram, just so I'm kind of holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
And so I wrote an email to my mailing list saying like, you heard it here first, I will write a book. And yeah, and so, and of course right now, and like I will start a podcast, I will write a book. I don't know when it is going to happen, but I just know that it will happen. And I'd say like it was really the event last year that gave me permission to honor my inner desire, that that's something that I wanted, and also to believe in myself that that's something that it could do.
I love that. I think too, it's like equally, I've invested in, things. I told Lauren, like, whatever, last year we were talking, like, the first time I'd ever left my family was to Canada. Hopped in a plane, went to another country for my first retreat. And then I think about, for one summer I spent the year I got my NLP and hypnosis master practitioner certification, I was away from my family for 3.5 weeks. And I lived in an Airbnb for that month with some girlfriends in Austin, or just outside of Austin. And I look back at each of those moments, and the thing that they collectively do, which one of you said, I think maybe Lauren was, or Sharleen, it takes you out of the environment you're in, and it totally disrupts the container of the monotony and the routine that exists. And as the saying goes, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And I think that there's beauty in staying in the consistency of what you know to be true and the things that take you there, but sprinkling in these opportunities that help you see things different, meet people, and get that real-time energy. And I think that's the value of just anytime you're in person with like-minded people, that transformation. It's the process, right? It's like not just about what you get at the event, but it's the process of getting yourself there, setting boundaries, dealing with the guilt maybe you have as a mother. Like all those things contribute to your growth, and the event itself is a part of that.
Can I respond to that?
Please.
Because when we were talking before we start recording, I wrote down, I used to work with kids, junior and high school kids, for about 10 years. Loved taking them to camp. And we had a ball, and we had to be careful, right? Because it's this because it's this high of an experience, and it can crash the kids when they get back home and they re-enter their life. And we had to have this maintenance, ongoing relationship with them. And so that was kind of one analogy of the BDC event. And that high, that whole thing is so important, and it pulled the kids out of their normal situation. Naughty children weren't always naughty at camp. It was amazing. It was a different environment. And so it just to validate your expression, it's such a different environment. It's necessary. But I still think, and I'll do a shameless plug for the community. I don't think it's super, it's effective for what we get out of it, for long-term longevity and continuity and continued building. You need a relationship and a community beyond it. And so it's super like summer camp to me. And I love it. And I didn't feel a high that I was crashed down by, just so you know. I mean, I got home and I was raring to go, and it was really effective. But I still think I wouldn't have progressed this last year at all with the event alone, as powerful and as valuable as it was. And so,
shameless plug to also join the Best Damn Coach. Thank you for that.
And you didn't ask me to make that. It's just a clear example to what we all know about summer camp. And
well, I mean, I don't want to tease and surprise, but there might be some exciting things that come out of this year's event that have never been done before, but more to come on that in April for sure. I appreciate you saying that. I want to ask Lauren a question, and then I'm going to ask Sharleen and Kindyl a separate question, and then we're going to pull it all together with a nice bow. Before we started recording, we talked about the resistance to coming back, and you're like, at the time where tickets were, coming out and you were making decisions, you were feeling, you said, kind of in this like scarcity around business. And we had chats back and forth. And then spoiler alert, you had like your best month ever, January, a really good January, which I think is always so interesting to look at, because to Kindle's point, you made a commitment, right? So can you just speak to like that? Because I think that's fair, right? It's like the cost of travel, the cost of getting there, the things, but can you just talk about where you were and like how you worked that out in your brain?
Yeah. I think there were back in, I can't remember if it was October, it was sometime in the fall, and I just was in a month where, or maybe even a quarter, where it felt like there was a lot of money going out and not as much as I would like coming in. And so, of course, when that happens, I think my typical response is to yeah, rather than to believe in abundance, that to just keep going and the money will come. The more you continue to serve, the more you continue to do the thing. My typical reaction is more to go into scarcity, to shut down, and to be like, okay, how can I avoid doing anything that's going to, further make money go out of my business? And so that's why I had, even though I knew, like, I had already decided when I came home from the event, I was like, I'm going back next year. Like, it had already been a decision in my mind. It was a trickier decision to make in the moment, again, just because I was just looking at this transactional, what's coming in, what's going out. I'd say at the end of the day, I just had to lean in on my trust. And as a fertility coach, this is something that I do with my clients. I have to hold them in belief of that this thing that they want so 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 bad, that it is coming, and to learn to really trust that. And so if I'm asking my clients to do it, I have to also do it with myself. So I'd say that's what I had to do, is to just lean in on, yes, this is scary. Yes, it feels like really scary to just know, are there going to be more clients? And that's precisely the work that I need to do in my own mindset, of to just continuously coming back to, like, of course there's more clients. Lauren, like, you've been in business for 7 years now. Your revenue has only continued to increase. So, like, why would it all of a sudden plummet?
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I felt that this week, to be honest, Lauren. And I don't think that feeling, that temptation to revert back into that old scarcity pattern is always a possibility for us. Um, but I had, my relationship with Facebook ads is, like highs and lows. I've had good experiences, and I finally figured out exactly what I need. And I've been in a search for that person, and that person kind of fell into my lap. And yet it's still like the commitment, right? The financial commitment to bring somebody on as part of your team to help you do that. But secondly, because I clearly know I cannot do it on my own. Like, I just cannot do that part on my own. But also the commitment to paying for the ad spend to reach the level that you want. And I'm this is like so raw, but my husband wrote me this note because I was having a conversation with him. You can see it if you're watching on YouTube, but it says, believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. And he had wrote that after a conversation where I was making a decision last week if I was going to move forward on this. And to your point, Lauren, it's like, of course I would say yes. Right? Of course. Like, look at how my business has grown. Of course, I have been gifted this vision. Of course, spending this small amount of money to get to the next thing would make sense. But sometimes we get tempted to reroute, like, that old scarcity default negative thinking. And we have to be in the energy of yes and belief of, like, yeah, of course, more are coming. And so I don't think that goes away. It's just a next version of it that constantly reveals itself the more we take business.
New level, new devil, that line.
Yeah, totally. Sharleen and Kindyl, quick question for you, and then I'm gonna give you guys a chance to share where people can connect with you, because I know we recorded for much longer than I wanted to, but you guys were just talking so many amazing things. What are you most excited about for this year? What's the one thing that you're like, can't wait for this to happen again?
Oh, I think I'll start just because I know that Kindle can have a little time with a delay to think. But I think the most exciting thing is to see my revenue grow while I'm refining again my framework and my content. Last year was such a learning year, like almost overwhelmingly so, both in my own expertise and then as I've mentioned, Amanda, in the coaching. And so this year I'm excited to implement more. I'm always going to be learning, but implementation's a little faster, a little. And building content. I am so excited to build content because that content is really needed right now for one-on-one clients, and then it's going to be needed for the next step of a membership or a course or something. And so I just am excited to move forward. And I have been moving forward, but I've been receiving so much education that it was pretty exhausting last year. And so this year is exciting.
Right. Love that. Amazing. Okay, Kindyl, at the event, what are you looking forward to this year at this year's event?
Oh, with this year's event.
You know, honestly, I'm like literally sure. I'm not sure what it is I'm looking forward to other than like I don't know what I'm looking forward to other than you you're really good at this whole surprise and delight thing so that I know going there's going to be something unexpected. I'm always I'm not even surprised anymore that like when you put a theme together or we have a call, like you have this really uncanny way of knowing like as a whole what everyone kind of needs to get out of it. And so I'm really honestly excited for the surprise. Like I don't know what I'm going to get out of it this year. I will say I'll be really disappointed if there's not at least a couple minutes of some sort of dance party in the middle because your music was on point. Like walking in to whatever you had going on, your playlist was fantastic. So I'll be disappointed if we don't get some dance time. I'm just going to throw that in there.
Okay. Like zero pressure now on me for any of that, but you can guarantee there's a dance party involved because I need that. And as we're sitting here recording, there is already a ton of surprises that I've been collecting here, physical surprises. But yeah, we've definitely, I felt like I had such clarity on the theme and the way things have unpacked already. I am like, I don't know. I feel very, very pumped for it. So I am so grateful for you guys just taking the time to share. And I think it's so important that we hear other stories and understand that business growth is never linear. And I'm excited to be together in real time in less than 60 days from now, and just honored to continue to watch you guys soar and grow and move through the messiness like as we grow our businesses together. I would love for you to just each take a turn. We'll start with Kindyl, and then we'll go Sharleen and Lauren. Will you just share with the audience where they can connect with you? And all the links we've talked about today are going to be in the show notes. And I'll talk a little bit more about BDC Live, and all the details as soon as these girls just share more about where you can connect with them. So go for it, Kindyl.
Yeah, so I would say probably the quickest or the best way would just be to go to the podcast, Become a Badass. Just it's all about knowing there's something more for you and you're ready to start moving towards it. And then, of course, my name, Kindyl Keaton. It's very uniquely spelled. If you look that up on Facebook or Instagram, you will find me.
Amazing. Thank you. We'll drop it in the show notes. Sharleen, how about you?
My business name and my coaching name is the RN Next Door with one N, RN Next Door. So that's my website, rnnextdoor.com, no the. And so I'm there. And I'm also on Facebook, Sharleen Lucas, RN Next Door. And thank you, Amanda, for letting us share that.
Of course. Lauren.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram. I actually have two Instagram accounts because I am also a birth doula and I also do general life coaching. And so at Breathe with Lauren is my general Instagram account. And if you happen to be someone that is currently struggling to conceive, listening to this, or you've experienced loss, so I also help people with healing after pregnancy loss, then you can find me at Fertile From Within. I also have a really beautiful website where you can find all of my offerings, breathewithlauren.com.
I love it. And for all of you listeners, you've heard their stories, and I think you can find yourself inside of one of them, if not all of them. I know I can on different seasons of my journey, but we would love to have you at BDC Live. It's for every female coach, no matter where you are in the journey. And again, details are April 13th and 14th, 2026. At the time that this episode is live, it's roughly 45 days away. So plenty of time to commit, to book your flights, to grab a hotel or Airbnb nearby. We are doing a kickoff Sunday morning. If you're in town, we're going to do a walk and talk from this super cute juice bar. And then Monday morning, the event kicks off from 9 to 4. Monday night, we're hanging out informally at a local restaurant. And then Tuesday, we wrap up at 4 o'clock, finishing out with a culminating happy hour. So I'm going to drop the link in the show notes, of course. But if you are ready to snag your ticket, you can do so at amanda-walker.com/BDC Live. So thank you, ladies. So grateful for the time. And I cannot wait to see you all soon.
All right. Thank you.
But first,